Now, High Commissioner, if we look on the African continent, you find that most African countries are still struggling with economic growth. What strategies do you think should be employed to actually see economic growth on the African continent?
Well, that is a broad question, but...
Or we'll narrow it down to the SADC region.
Yes. First and foremost, I would like to commend the good job that His Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera, the efforts he's putting into transforming and reforming the Malawi economy. The same goes to Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, my president, the president of the United Republic of Tanzania. Together, they are working so hard to transform and reform our two economies. But economic growth, in simple terms, is about production. So production from agriculture, production in terms of manufacturing, whatever comes from agriculture has to be processed either to the end user or processed for export. But production means also factories are running, mega farms are running, industries of whatever kind, be it cement, sugar, and for that matter you have also an element of employment. So as you expand production, you put more of your people to work. But as you expand production, you would also do the processing, you would increase the agricultural yield for that matter, you would have what we call in development economics a self-sufficiency, whereby you would have whatever that we need in our respective African countries, be it Tanzania or Malawi, that we have food that we need for the entire year. The surplus or a dedicated portion of it would process it and then export. Then we would receive foreign currency, but also the people working either in the farms or in the factories doing the manufacturing and processing will pay taxes. If they pay taxes and it is continuous, and most of the products that are needed to be used within the African countries, Malawi or Tanzania, should be produced in our respective countries, so that the very few that we import from outside will not drain our foreign currency, since up to now the economic order would dictate that we have dollars to import. So we would use very few dollars for very critical importation, say fuel, because we don't have that now, but sugar, cooking oil, and all and food, stopper food, would get it from here. That is economic growth. Then once you've collected the money, and now you have the kind of government that is very ethical, it is led with integrity as one of the pillars, just like the way His Excellency President Chakwera every day talks about the fight against corruption. The same thing is also talked about in Tanzania: discipline within the public service, discipline when it comes to spending, discipline when it comes to collecting taxes. Once you've collected the money and this government bag full of money is there, then you go to economic development, whereby you would start sending money out to infrastructure development, health, water, and things of the like. So if we do that in Africa, economic growth is a very simple term. And if we have self-sufficiency, we will not even be prone to external shocks like a war in Ukraine, because we have food here. I would narrow it down like that.
All right. Now, so in other words, I didn't hear you mention about corruption. So you do think that corruption is a huge challenge here in Africa, and this part especially.
And this is why I said once I've explained economic growth and the different aspects that are involved. When it comes now to collecting taxes from the broader sect of the population that is working and paying taxes, you need discipline in the public service. When I refer discipline in the public service, ethics and integrity, it includes also, ethical conduct. And ethical conduct definitely goes hand in hand with a fierce, fearless fight against corruption. Corruption, if you let it flourish in your country, it comes to rip and steal every penny that you have collected from economic growth, and for that matter, nothing is left to go to economic development.
You're watching MBC Exclusive. Our guest this week is His Excellency Humphrey Polepole, Tanzanian High Commissioner to Malawi. We'll be back shortly after this break. Now, Your Excellency, we did hear that recently you have launched Kiswahili lessons. How important and how significant are these lessons, and how would they forge relations between Malawi and Tanzania?
Thank you very much. So, in a nutshell, Kiswahili is the way to go. Out of the 14 widely spoken languages in the world, Kiswahili is the only leading language from Africa. Out of all the languages spoken in Africa, there are 3 that are widely spoken, and that is Kiswahili, Yoruba, and Zulu. Yoruba is spoken in 2, 3, or 4 West African countries, and Zulu only in South Africa and limited to some parts of South Africa. So Kiswahili is the only African language that is spoken in over 14 countries and is a lingua franca. That means it is a second language to a first language to a country, to another dozen countries in Africa. So we're talking about over 24 countries in Africa where you can go and you can still feel, a Swahili speaker, and you can well be received. That is number one. Number two, we have agreed at the African Union, we've agreed within the SADC and the SADC region, within the East Africa community, and all of the African countries, members of the African Union, that Kiswahili should be promoted as a continental language, and it is going to be a continental language from here, from within Africa. Traditionally, we've used English, French, Portuguese, Arabic, as to communicate amongst African countries, for that matter. So Kiswahili has been officially accepted as an official working language for the African Union, for East Africa Community, for SADC, and many other regional blocs are also following. So, and as we are heading towards the getting Africa together, and as one Africa, we need definitely a unifying language, and Kiswahili stands as a comparatively a better option to enable our African citizens to converse. Kiswahili is a lingua franca in Malawi. You have Chichewa, you have other tribal languages, but Malawi trades very much with Tanzania. Kiswahili is a lingua franca in Zambia. Kiswahili is a lingua franca in Mozambique. So if we are talking about promoting cross-border trade, most of these cross-border traders speak Kiswahili. If you go to Lilongwe at Devil's Street, if you go to Blantyre here, or if you go to Tete in Mozambique, you would see the medium of communication, trade language is Kiswahili. So we stand to be to the advantage if we use Kiswahili for that matter. I am very happy that the Republic of Malawi, under the leadership of His Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera, has already rolled out plans to have Kiswahili taught in secondary and primary schools. We are supporting that move, and we've already started. We have a number of universities from Tanzania who will work with universities in Malawi to make sure that they have tailor-made courses in Kiswahili. We have also a government entity that is responsible for curriculum development in Tanzania, that we've already connected them with the Minister of Education here in Malawi to start developing curriculums in Kiswahili for teacher training centers. So Kiswahili is a way to go, and I think Malawi has made a a wonderful move, and we are supporting that very much.
Mm-hmm. Now, we recently did learn about your commitment towards seeing an MOU signed between Malawi and Tanzania in the area of health, so that Malawians get specialized treatment in Tanzania.
Yes.
Will you just elaborate on that?
So, again, it's within the sectoral collaboration between Malawi and Tanzania, I mentioned earlier. So, one area is health, and here we are looking at 3 areas. We're looking at cardiology, which is issues of the heart. We are looking at orthopedics, which is issues related to bones, and we're looking at nephrology, issues related to kidneys. So, this is my view of things, and this is the view of my leader, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. If there's anything good in Tanzania, it has to be shared in Malawi as well. If there's anything good in Malawi, it has to be shared with the Tanzanians, and that is also the feeling I got from His Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera here. So in Tanzania, we have centers of excellency in the 3 areas: the cardiology, nephrology, and orthopedics. So to begin with, we will start with cardiology, whereby we would have a collaboration between Center of Excellence in Tanzania on cardiovascular issues, that is the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, and we're connecting that institute with the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and we are going to have a joint medical camp on cardio issues, and we'll do screening together. We will do testing together on cardiac issues, but also we'll do clinics together. So we would have super specialists from Tanzania who would work with specialists in Malawi to diagnose, but also discuss and agree on what they call treatment regimes on heart-related issues. Eventually, the idea is to build a capacity within Malawi, as you're heading towards also establishing a center of excellency when it comes to cardiology issues. So during the time when you're establishing that, so if you have referrals that needs to be taken out of Malawi, then Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, which is a very well-established center, can take up those. It will be cheaper for Malawi rather than going to India or South Africa, but just across the border. You can take a bus from Gateway Mall to Tanzania, and you'll be receive the high-level specialized treatment. They can do what is called an open heart surgery, or they can do what is called invasive something, whereby they have wires going in and fixing you, and you're done. They do stents and things of the like. So that one is coming, and I'm very happy. I had a very wonderful meeting with Honorable Chiponda, Minister responsible for health. So within a month from now, the Blantyre people should be ready. It will be done. It's going to be for free. So come do that. Heart issues normally don't come out until it's too late. You
did hint that African challenges can best be solved by Africans themselves.
Mm-hmm. There's an African saying, if I would put it that way, that he or she who wears the shoe feels where it pinches, or he who lives in a house knows where it leaks when rain comes. And I think it's the same in Africa. African problems needs African-led solutions. We know better what our problems are, and I think we are at the level where we have enough of the members in the academia. We have enough of very well qualified civil servants. We have leaders who understand that leadership is a surety, that we've got it from the people, And we have all what it takes to transform and reform the African continent in the manner that the African citizens expect us as leaders to do that. So we should not sit back here and relax and expect the Americans would come and fix problems in Tanzania, or expect the European Union or the Chinese people for that matter. We can work together in partnership, but actually the people who know exactly where we should rectify, it is the same Africans ourselves who have that responsibility. So we should keep on transforming also the mentality and mindset that African problems first, we should put in place African solutions and look for partnership where our hand cannot stretch to the length of the capacity that we don't have. That is where we should go for partnership. But all of it, we have it, and we should be able to do that.
Now, it has been said that SADC countries are losing for failure to utilize the continental free trade area. Do you agree with this?
That is another initiative, a very huge initiative from the African Union, and our heads of states, including President Lazarus Chakwera, my President, Her Excellency Madame Samia Suluhu Hassan. It has been concluded. So in fact, they are developing, I think, the protocols now, but the guiding document is set for Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It is a platform and an opportunity for African countries to trade amongst themselves. It is the most notable model for having businesses and trade prosper and flourish within the African continent. And there's one or two big reasons why we should go for Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So it's a framework for Africans to trade amongst each other. The volume of trade between Africa and the rest of the world, and intra-Africa, which means within Africa, is very negative. So we trade more with outside Africa than we are trading within Africa. That makes African continent very prone to external shocks. So if something happens, like now there's a war between Ukraine and Russia, we are prone to that shock. But if we had self-sufficiency in terms of products that are traded within the continent, whether they fight 24/7 outside Africa, the African continent would continue to be secure. I would give a very specific example. You have about 3-4 cement factories in Malawi, and I am supporting that, and the government needs to continue providing a conducive environment for cement factories to produce more cement. But it's still not enough considering the growth of the construction sector. But you don't have to get cement from far away. There's cement in Mtwara, and it is half the price. So get it from Tanzania. Tanzania needs to produce cooking oil. We don't need to import cooking oil from Brazil, because we can get soya from Malawi and have it, across the border to Tanzania. We just need to formalize that business, and so we can have our soya cheaply from Malawi than we would have cooking oil from Brazil. And that is what we are talking about, that we would spend less dollars importing from within Africa than would spend dollars importing from outside Africa. So Tanzania imports something called medium density fiber boards, the type of a wooden material. We import it from China, Turkey, Austria, Italy, and South Africa. So put South Africa aside. But the same material is found in Malawi. I have talked to the business community in Tanzania. They have more to benefit if they would import the MDF boards from Malawi than they would do so if importing it from Italy or Austria. Would spend less dollars here. Malawi ones would get the dollars, but also would have, efficiency, effectiveness, and would have the product right away. So Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a way to go. We just have to be serious about it, and we have to move fast. You have countries like Egypt. They need wheat, and they import it from Ukraine. But you have wheat in Tanzania. You just have to get it from Africa, Dar es Salaam port, all the way to Cairo. And then, so we have more. The share of business, the intra-trade within Africa, the share of export business within Africa is about 15 to 20% compared to the export business out of Africa to the rest of the world, which is about 90 to 80%. And that is the reason when they fight, trouble is in Africa.
Now, finally, what are your thoughts on the future of relations between Malawi and Tanzania?
I would like to assure Malawians that Tanzania is a brother, is a sister, is a trusted ally, is a trading partner. We have now about 61 million people. Malawi has about 20. That is a market, and I'm extending an invitation to Malawi producers that Tanzania is a potential market. And when you're looking at Tanzania, you're not looking at Tanzania as a single entity. Tanzania is within the East African bloc. It is one of the biggest in Africa. So when you look at Tanzania, you're looking at the East African bloc. But I am also aware that Malawi Broadcasting Corporation are working hand in hand with Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation, and I am also bringing a lot of greetings and salutations from TBC. They value the relationship you have. I'm aware you're supposed to be signing a memorandum of understanding so that we can see you next time working at TBC and having somebody else to come from TBC to be working here. We will be more than happy to facilitate that. But there's going to be a African Broadcasters Association. They have an annual gathering, and it will take place in Tanzania, Zanzibar, in October. So I'm also using this opportunity to invite MBC and all other African broadcasters to come to Zanzibar. Zanzibar is a spice island, a very wonderful place.
And so, me in particular, I know I'm invited.
You're definitely.
Special invitation.
I would talk to the director. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana. Asante sana.
Comes from the sweetness of the depths of your heart, at your home and any other place. Keep those energy levels afloat with the right brand of sugar. Salima Sugar, truly appetizing, sweet, nutritious, and energy-giving. Begin and end your day with the sweetest of memories. Salima Sugar, the sweet pride of Malawi. By Malawi, for Malawi.
Chonde, bwezeni mabotolo agalasi amowa mukamaliza kugulisira ntchito. Teganizani akanakhala kuti aliyense amatenga mabotolo wakupita nawo kwawo. Ndekuti kutsogolo kuno kasitolo Malawi itha kudzakhala opanda mabotolo. Osatenga mabotolo nkusunga ku nyumba. Kaobwezeni ku tepo iliyonse ya kasitolo Malawi ndipo mudzilipidwa motere. 70 kwacha pa botolo limodzi, 600 kwacha pa kreti imodzi yopanda kanthu, ndi 2000 kwacha pa kreti yoti muli mabotolo onse. Tikubwerezanso kuti kabwezeni mabotolo agalasi amowa ku kasitolo lero.
Wafika muntawi yake tanani ndikubanika popuma chifukwa chakutsekeka mphuno kapena makhololo pachifuwa mwachangu. Dontetserani Conjex Medi Oil pakansalu ndi kupuma fungo lakelo. Conjex Medi Oil opangidwa ndi peppermint, menthol, eucalyptus, camphor ndi zina amathandizanso kupweteka kwa pakhosi, pachifuwa, kukhosomola, nyamakazi ndi kupweteka kwa ziwalo. Tirani madontho ochepa malo omwe akupwetekawo ndi kusisita, ndipo nthawi pang'ono ululu umatha. Conjex Medi Oil amathamangitsanso udzudzu m'nyumba. Conjex Medi Oil ndi opaka osati kumwa. Akupezeka nsitolo zambiri, mahostel ndi mafamasi kulikonse m'dziko muno kuchokera ku Mwai Pharma.
Wind up your weekdays with your favorite series on MBC2 on the go from 7:30 p.m. with thrilling Mondays.
It's time for MBC News with me.